Eleanor could no longer witness this torrent of unresisted grief in silence.
"Exert yourself, dear Marianne,"
she cried.
"If you would not kill yourself and all who love you, think of your mother, think of her misery while you suffer. For her sake you must exert yourself."
"I cannot, I cannot,"
cried Marianne.
Leave me if I distress you. Leave me, hate me, forget me, but do not torture me so. Oh, how easy for those who have no sorrow of their own to talk of exertion. Happy, happy Eleanor, you cannot have an idea of what I suffer."
"Do you call me happy, Marianne? Ah, if you knew! And can you believe me to be so when I see you so wretched?"
Forgive me, forgive me."
Throwing her arms round her sister's neck.
"I know you feel for me. I know what a heart you have. But yet you must be happy. Edward loves you. What can do away such happiness as that?"
"Many, many circumstances,"
said Eleanor solemnly.
"No, no, no!"
cried Marianne wildly.
"He loves you and only you. You can have no grief."
"I can have no pleasure while I see you in this state."
"And you will never see me otherwise. Mine is a misery which nothing can do away."
"You must not talk so, Marianne. Have you no comforts, no friends? Is your loss such as leaves no opening for consolation? Much as you suffer now, think of what you would have suffered if the discovery of his character had been delayed to a later period, if your engagement had been carried on for months and months, as it might have been, before he chose to put an end to it. Every additional day of unhappy confidence on your side would have made the blow more dreadful."
"Engagement?"
cried Marianne.
"There has been no engagement."
"No engagement?"
"No, he is not so unworthy as you believe him. He has broken no faith with me."
"But he told you that he loved you."
"Yes. No. Never absolutely. It was every day implied, but never professedly declared. Sometimes I thought it had been, but it never was."
"Yet you wrote to him?"
"Yes. Could that be wrong after all that had passed? But I cannot talk."
Eleanor said no more, and turning again to the 3 letters which now raised a much stronger curiosity than before, directly ran over the contents of all. The first, which was what her sister had sent him on their arrival in town, was to this effect:
Berkeley Street, January. How surprised you will be, Willoughby, on receiving this! And I think you will feel something more than surprise when you know that I am in town. An opportunity of coming hither, though with Mrs. Jennings, was a temptation we could not resist. I wish you may receive this in time to come here to-night, but I will not depend on it. At any rate, I shall expect you to-morrow. For the present, adieu. M.D.
Her second note, which had been written on the morning after the dance at the Middletons, was in these words:
I cannot express my disappointment in having missed you the day before yesterday, nor my astonishment at not having received any answer to a note which I sent you above a week ago. I have been expecting to hear from you, and still more to see you every hour of the day. Pray call again as soon as possible, and explain the reason of my having expected this in vain. You had better come earlier another time, because we are generally out by 1. We were last night at Lady Middleton's, where there was a dance. I have been told that you were asked to be of the party. But could it be so? You must be very much altered indeed since we parted, if that could be the case and you not there. But I will not suppose this possible, and I hope very soon to receive your personal assurance of its being otherwise. M.D.
The contents of her last note to him were these:
What am I to imagine, Willoughby, by your behaviour last night? Again I demand an explanation of it. I was prepared to meet you with the pleasure which our separation naturally produced, with the familiarity which our intimacy at Barton appeared to me to justify. I was repulsed indeed. I have passed a wretched night in endeavouring to excuse a conduct which can scarcely be called less than insulting. But though I have not yet been able to form any reasonable apology for your behaviour, I am perfectly ready to hear your justification of it. You have, perhaps, been misinformed, or purposely deceived in something concerning me, which may have lowered me in your opinion. Tell me what it is, explain the grounds on which you acted, and I shall be satisfied in being able to satisfy you. It would grieve me indeed to be obliged to think ill of you, but if I am to do it, if I am to learn that you are not what we have hitherto believed you, that your regard for us all was insincere, that your behaviour to me was intended only to deceive, let it be told as soon as possible. My feelings are at present in a state of dreadful indecision. I wish to acquit you, but certainty on either side will be ease to what I now suffer. If your sentiments are no longer what they were, you will return my notes and the lock of my hair which is in your possession. M.D.
That such letters, so full of affection and confidence, could have been so answered, Eleanor, for Willoughby's sake, would have been unwilling to believe. But her condemnation of him did not blind her to the impropriety of their having been written at all, and she was silently grieving over the imprudence which had hazarded such unsolicited proofs of tenderness, not warranted by anything preceding, and most severely condemned by the event, when Marianne, perceiving that she had finished the letters, observed to her that they contained nothing but what any one would have written in the same situation.
I felt myself,
she added,
to be as solemnly engaged to him as if the strictest legal covenant had bound us to each other.
I can believe it,
said Eleanor.
But unfortunately he did not feel the same.
He did feel the same, Eleanor. For weeks and weeks he felt it. I know he did. Whatever may have changed him now, and nothing but the blackest art employed against me can have done it, I was once as dear to him as my own soul could wish. This lock of hair, which now he can so readily give up, was begged of me with the most earnest supplication. Had you seen his look, his manner, had you heard his voice at that moment? Have you forgot the last evening of our being together at Barton? The morning that we parted, too, when he told me that it might be many weeks before we met again. His distress. Can I ever forget his distress?
For a moment or two she could say no more, but when this emotion had passed, she added in a firmer tone,
Eleanor, I have been cruelly used, but not by Willoughby.
Dearest Marianne, who but himself? By whom can he have been instigated?
By all the world rather than by his own heart. I could rather believe every creature of my acquaintance leagued together to ruin me in his opinion, than believe his nature capable of such cruelty. This woman of whom she writes, whoever she be, or any one, in short, but your own dear self, mamma, and Edward, may have been so barbarous to belie me. Beyond you three, is there a creature in the world whom I would not rather suspect of evil than Willoughby, whose heart I know so well?
Eleanor would not contend, and only replied,
Whoever may have been so detestably your enemy, let them be cheated of their malignant triumph, my dear sister, by seeing how nobly the consciousness of your own innocence and good intentions supports your spirits. It is a reasonable and laudable pride which resists such malevolence.
No, no,
cried Marianne.
Misery such as mine has no pride. I cannot who knows that I am wretched. The triumph of seeing me so may be open to all the world. Eleanor, they who suffer little may be proud and independent as they like, may resist insult or return mortification, but I cannot. I must feel, I must be wretched, and they are welcome to enjoy the consciousness of it that can.
But for my mother's sake and mine.
I would do more than for my own, but to appear happy when I am so miserable. Oh, who can require it?
Again they were both silent. Eleanor was employed in walking thoughtfully from the fire to the window, from the window to the fire, without knowing that she received warmth from one, or discerning objects through the other. And Marianne, seated at the foot of the bed, with her head leaning against one of its posts, again took up Willoughby's letter, and after shuddering over every sentence, exclaimed,
It is too much. Oh, Willoughby, Willoughby, could this be yours? Cruel, cruel, nothing can acquit you. Eleanor, nothing can. Whatever he might have heard against me, ought he not to have suspended his belief? Ought he not to have told me of it, to have given me the power of clearing myself? The lock of hair,
repeating it from the letter,
which you so obligingly bestowed on me. That is unpardonable. Willoughby, where was your heart when you wrote these words? Oh, barbarously insolent! Eleanor, can he be justified?
No, Marianne, in no possible way.
And yet this woman, who knows what her art may have been, how long it may have been premeditated, and how deeply contrived by her? Who is she? Who can she be? Whom did I ever hear him talk of as young and attractive among his female acquaintance? Oh, no one, no one. He talked to me only of myself.
Another pause ensued. Marianne was greatly agitated, and it ended thus.
Eleanor, I must go home. I must go and comfort mamma. Cannot we be gone tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Marianne?
Yes, why should I stay here? I came only for Willoughby's sake, and now who cares for me? Who regards me?
It would be impossible to go tomorrow. We owe Mrs. Jennings much more than that civility, and civility of the commonest kind must prevent such a hasty removal as that.
Well, then, another day or two, perhaps. But I cannot stay here long. I cannot stay to endure the questions and remarks of all these people. The Middletons and Palmers. How am I to bear their pity? The pity of such a woman as Lady Middleton. Oh, what would he say to that?
Eleanor advised her to lie down again, and for a moment she did so, but no attitude could give her ease, and in restless pain of mind and body she moved from one posture to another, till, growing more and more hysterical, her sister could with difficulty keep her on the bed at all, and for some time was fearful of being constrained to call for assistance. Some lavender drops, however, which she was at length persuaded to take, were of use, and from that time till Mrs. Jennings returned, she continued on the bed quiet and motionless.